Specifically today, we're going to be talking about Ikkit Claw's Doomwheel because, of course, what other Doomwheel is there, really? Just as a quick reminder before we do get started, though, I am going to be hosting a qualifier for the Warhammer World Championship coming up on November 6th, 5 p.m. GMT. I believe that's like 10 local time here in U.S. Mountain Time. But anyway, just a quick reminder, let's get back to the action here with the Skaven versus Dark Elves. This replay from Willison, I believe. I have been sitting on it for quite some time, but got Ikkit Claw leading the way here, some Rat Ogres, couple of Poison Wind Globes, got lots of Jezzails too. It looks like 3 Jezzails, yeah, 4 Rat Ogres, 2 Globes, some Clan Rat Spears, and Skaven Slaves up front. Opposing them on the Dark Elves side, we've got Malice Darkblade here, and some Black Ark Corsairs, plenty of Dark Riders as well, some Bow Corsairs, hand bows. A little bit of Sorcerer's Sword Fire here, coming very far forward, looking to get sniped potentially. Got some Scourge Runner Chariots, and the Harpies also scattered around here. But yeah, this Fire Sorceress initially going to come in, try and drop a Burning Head, but definitely pays a pretty hefty price as she is absolutely gatted by those Jezzails. Not fully sniped though, does manage to dive in. The Skaven Slaves, we'll see if she's able to survive this snipe attempt, but meanwhile, on the opposite flank here, Dark Elves are pressing their advantage, trying to rush these weapons teams here. We're going to see a Howling Warp Gale stop up a lot of these Harpies before they're able to land home. Rat Ogres can then respond, maybe pull back some of the weapons teams. In the front line, though, no surprises. The Black Ark Corsairs, without any missile support, will blend through these Skaven in a very efficient manner. That said, of course, with the globes supporting, they'll take very significant damage. See the hand bows there returning fire on the bows, relatively ineffective. Definitely going to take quite a bit of damage from that. But Dark Elves are pressing. Managed to get a lot of these range units here. Sort of leave the Rat Ogres in the dust. The Harpies do a great job outmaneuvering and get on top of those Jezzails, start to shut them down. Globadiers are still making their presence felt, though, and just absolutely exploding a couple of handbows here. These guys have definitely already paid for themselves, helping to protect this one Jezzail, keep them online for the time being as well. But Ikkit Claw, back to his Doomwheel. Why do I say sometimes that it's the best missile cavalry in the game? Because mainly it has a triple shot, so it has 3 times the normal Doomwheel's shooting. Regiment of Renown, I believe, has 2 times the shooting, has a ton of ammunition as well, so he can really get some great skirmish damage, assuming he just drives around and takes advantage of that missile attack, and that kind of is the primary mode of him dealing damage. You look at the stats of the Doomwheel with Ikkit riding it, I mean, attack, defense are pretty poor. Weapon strength is okay. 30 bonus versus infantry certainly helps against appropriate targets. Again, only 50 charge bonus really isn't that high in comparison to something like a steam tank or a similar unit. So ultimately the Doomwheel, a lot of the power of the Doomwheel comes from its ranged attacks, and since Ikkit has just extra projectiles on his ranged attack, ends up doing a substantial amount of damage. But let's see here, as long as he can stay away from like the Master and Malice Darkblade here, can do a really good job against all of this infantry. To that effect, this Flensing Ruin will be great for going after blobs of single entities and low model count targets. Flensing Ruin is very strong right now. It's a spell that kind of slipped past me, I will admit, a little bit initially. Immortal Empires came out, but definitely looking pretty good. A little bit more Howling Warp Gale there just to clean up those Harpies. Try and keep those Jezzails nice and safe over here. The Jezzails did end up getting routed off, but still have some Globadiers fighting as well. So, yeah, Malice hasn't quite popped his transform yet, but man, look at that shot through the side of those Corsairs as well. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Fortunately, you can't direct the Doomwheel's fire. It would be really nice, and like all Doomwheels have this cannon on the front, which should be able to fire more or less like a cannon. I don't think it has exactly the same range. I have to double check the actual tabletop rules, but the Doomwheel should actually be kind of like the steam tank or like a skull cannon, in that it actually has a directed attack, but right now it's only that sort of 360 shooting. Can't actually give it a specific shooting order, so it just kind of picks whatever targets it feels like shooting at. Ultimately, I guess you could turn it off fire at will to try and preserve the ammo or more high-value targets, but against a build like this, against the Dark Elves, I would think just shooting whatever you can get in range is going to be just fine. That said, things are looking pretty grim for the Skaven right now. A lot of units are routing, summons are starting to wear off. Yeah, things are just generally looking pretty grim. A lot of units across the field are routing. Besides Ikkit Claw, there's not a lot here that's super healthy. I guess this one unit of Rat Ogres as well, counter-collapsing back on those Corsairs and the Dark Riders, but a couple of Giselles do manage to get back from route. They're hopefully going to get bailed out here and come back. Meanwhile, Ikkit Claw moving through, savaging these. Oh yeah, those Dark Riders, the Corsairs getting savaged. Dark Riders now charging in. A few more shots landing from the distance rather, from those Scourge Runners, which are doing quite a bit. Malice Darkblade also hasn't popped his transform yet, but that Flensing Ruin doing a substantial amount of damage. Likely to need to transform relatively soon. He's not going to be able to really get too much more replenishment in melee, considering how tattered the Skaven army is. Really unrealistic for him to expect a lot more. And a nice shot from Ikkit actually does some damage. If Ikkit were to perhaps charge, he could maybe terrify Malice before he got the summon off, but does not have the opportunity to do so, and Zarcan appears. So that's going to be a huge power spike. You notice how much the balance power kind of swings in Dark Elf's favor when Zarcan appears. But for the Skaven, they're really going to have to rally these forces together, try and bail out whatever units they can, but already having leadership issues, those Giselles decide to pretty much immediately rout. The other Giselles, too, shooting through the woods, are going to have a little bit of a tough time making consistent contact here. But let's see. Ikkit is just having to flee from Malice, and he is technically faster, although Malice starts with Fresh Vigor when he gets summoned, so he is going to be able to catch Ikkit here. Unlimited power being popped there, and Ikkit's just trying to scream through his Rat Ogres right now, which is definitely smart. The Rat Ogres have the mass. It looks like Malice might have got distracted as well, fighting some of those Clan Rat Spears and whatnot. But yeah, Plague Priest here has been getting some summons off. Looks like he's used quite a few already, but still has a few left in the tank. Nope, just kidding, he shatters. So that is going to be a big issue for the Skaven in this late game, is just the leadership. Zarcan doesn't cause terror, but he is still a terror in his own right, and as such, Ikkit's just going to do his best to avoid, although Malice would die on his own, or Zarcan rather, would die on his own eventually. If Ikkit were able to stay away for, the full duration of the summon, might as well just speed his passing here. He is pretty much all that's holding the Dark Elf forces together at this point. Look at the rest of the army here. Pretty much everything is extremely tattered. And if you're able to get rid of Zarcan, likely everything else is going to want to rout. So just continuing to blob in these Rat Ogres, more Flensing Ruins, of course, to help speed his passing, as mentioned. And not that the armor debuff really helps all that much, but I guess it is a little bit of a factor, bringing him down to 80 armor. Let's see, how much non-armor piercing damage Rat Ogres have? 20. That's a decent amount. I mean, it certainly would make a little bit of a difference when getting circle beaten by Rat Ogres there. But going to pop that Bloodstorm, give himself some damage resistance. Just absolutely huge stats on Zarcan, so Ikkit's staying away as far away as possible, although it looks like he might try and ride out, go after some of those tattered Dark Elf troops in the periphery, and maybe get a quick terror out there. He does have to be careful not to get mown down by those hand bows, but Zarcan's still fighting. This one unit of Rat Ogre still just bogging him down, not allowing him to actually get after Ikkit. But notice how Ikkit's kind of hanging around still. He's within range to support the leadership of these units. Ultimately is smart. The Dark Elf player is kind of forgetting about the rest of their units right now, which, the Black Ark Corsairs and these other units really could be useful, helping to get rid of these Rat Ogres and other screening units, allow Zarcan to go after Ikkit. But Zarcan, unfortunately, has just been continuously staggered and bogged down by the Rat Ogres and other units here. Another big Flensing Ruin going to hit him. More Rat Ogres for screening, more Clan Rats for screening, and Zarcan just drowning in rats right now. Is kind of to be expected in this matchup, I suppose. Ikkit just cackling and crackling in the distance on his Doomwheel. Casts off another Flensing Ruin there. And that should be enough. Zarcan now dipping below 300 HP, kind of teetering right around it. Takes a couple of hits from Rat Ogres, and that should be the end of him. Corsair Handbows finally get within range, and the Scourge Runner Chariots charge in. Probably could have broken the leadership of these Rat Ogres had they come in just slightly earlier. But Malice, yes, the Doomwheel finally finishes him off. Ikkit Claw just, ending it rightly here in melee. Now moves in to try and tear out the last of these Dark Elves. Another quick, yeah, what is that? Warp Bolt? No, I forget. Warp Lightning, that's it. Close enough. Lightning there. Try and blast those Dark Riders, and it's a very close victory for the Skaven. I really thought he was going to lose that at a certain point, but excellent use of kiting there and screening with the Rat Ogres, using that Flensing Ruin, and that's another reason why Ikkit Claw is obviously the most superior Doomwheel. I mean, obviously the Warlock Masters can also take a Doomwheel mount, cast Flensing Ruin, but Ikkit Claw gives you that and the triple shot of the actual Doomwheel itself. So if we take a look here, 193 kills, 4,369 damage value. It's a great time to be Ikkit Claw for sure. And I had, again, been sleeping on Flensing Ruin, which is on me. I fully admit that was a mistake by me. It's definitely something that's very potent in Skaven's arsenal right now. Ikkit, as kind of the most powerful, arguably, holder of that spell, definitely very appealing right now, and despite the fact that a lot of the rest of this build really didn't pay out, I mean, the Rat Ogres definitely shined in support there, but even the Globadiers, only one of them paid for themselves. Surprising to see, but Ikkit just carrying super heavy in that matchup against Malice. Love to see that. Scourge Runner Chariots, effective as always. Should pretty much always max them, actually, in my opinion. The Corsairs also, a little bit of a mixed bag, but some of them actually do a reasonably decent job cutting through the Skaven lines. Ultimately, it just came down to, I think, a little bit of slip-ups, especially in the end there, in terms of letting units just sit idle while Zarcan was fighting the rest of the Skaven army by himself. Definitely, had he brought those other units in sooner, perhaps could have ended the Skaven's leadership and finished off the match, but that's why we play the games, right? Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.